The tense silence in the conference room pressed against my eardrums as Lavinia, our vice president, slammed her palm on the glass table. All 80 employees sat motionless under the harsh lights. Even the usual keyboard tappers and pen clickers were still. Every breath felt loud. "Stand up right now and apologize to my daughter for your incompetence, or clean out your desk," Lavinia declared, her voice ricocheting through the company's main hall. Her daughter, Cressa, hired 6 months ago and mysteriously promoted to senior manager just last week, sat beside the executive team with a faint smirk tugging at her lips. My heart pounded against my ribs as every pair of eyes turned toward me. I rose slowly from my chair, the metal legs scraping across the floor in the dead quiet. The walk to the front felt endless, each step echoing like a countdown timer on my career. Lavinia's smile widened, already savoring my humiliation. She thought she had me cornered. She believed I would collapse under public shame rather than lose the job I'd held for 15 years. She had never truly known me at all. I connected my personal device to the display system. The projector whirred to life. "I believe this will clarify the situation," I said, my voice soft but steady. Lavinia's smile vanished when I didn't immediately apologize. Instead, I tapped the screen. Her daughter's voice filled the room. "Mom, I totally messed up the Harrington presentation. I mixed up their financial assessment with our internal projections. But don't worry, I told everyone it was all her fault." Then Lavinia's unmistakable voice followed. "Perfect, darling. Keep blaming her for everything. Once this merger goes through, we'll restructure the entire department anyway. Just hold on until our bonus clears." Shocked gasps rippled across the room. Lavinia lunged toward me, her heels stabbing into the carpet. "That's private. Turn that off immediately," she shouted, reaching for my device. Bennett, our CEO, raised a hand. "Continue," he said, his expression hardening. I nodded and played the next recording. "Just delete her slides before the investor meeting," Lavinia instructed. "Say there was a technical issue. We need the board to see only your version of the proposal." "But what if someone asks questions I can't answer?" Cressa whined. "Then you look at her and say, perhaps you can explain why your data didn't support this conclusion. Make her look unprepared." With each recording, Lavinia's face drained of color. Cressa sank lower in her chair, her smirk gone, her gaze fixed on her shaking hands. Bennett stood slowly. "How long has this been going on?" I met his eyes. "Since Cressa was hired. I have dated copies of my original reports alongside the altered versions she submitted under her name, and this isn't limited to my department. I've spoken with 3 former employees who experienced similar treatment before being pushed out." The room remained utterly still as I disconnected my device and returned to my seat. Lavinia stood frozen at the front, her mouth opening and closing without sound. But I knew this was far from finished. The real battle was only beginning. If you've ever witnessed workplace sabotage or stood up to an abusive manager, hit the like button right now. Subscribe for more stories of workplace justice, and leave a comment sharing your experience. Now let me tell you how this nightmare truly began. My name is Imogen, and until 6 months ago, I was the rising star of our analytics department. I spent 15 years building my reputation through meticulous work and innovative strategies. My colleagues respected me, upper management sought my input, clients requested me by name. Then Lavinia hired her daughter. I remember Cressa's first day clearly. She wore a designer outfit and introduced herself by announcing she'd graduated with honors from an elite university. Later, I discovered she'd barely passed and had been on academic probation twice. "Imogen, you'll be mentoring Cressa," Lavinia announced during a department meeting 3 days after Cressa started. "Show her everything you know." Several colleagues exchanged knowing looks. Everyone understood what mentoring the boss's daughter meant, babysitting an entitled newcomer while keeping my full workload. That afternoon, Cressa sat beside my desk, scrolling on her phone while I explained our analysis process. "This is so boring," she sighed after 10 minutes. "Can't you just give me the summary?" "Understanding the methodology matters," I said. "Otherwise what?" she snapped. "My mom runs this department. I don't need every little detail." I should have recognized the warning then, but I still believed in merit and hard work. I still believed the system rewarded competence. What a mistake. Her first assignment was simple: compile customer feedback data for the quarterly review. I gave her templates, clear instructions, and my direct extension. 3 days later, at the department review, Cressa presented a completely different analysis. The data was shallow, key metrics were missing, and several conclusions contradicted previous findings. When Bennett asked about discrepancies, Cressa turned to me with wide eyes. Imogen told me to do it this way. Every eye swung toward me. That's not correct, I said carefully. The instructions I provided— Are you calling my daughter a liar? Lavinia interrupted, her voice dangerously calm. The meeting limped forward as I tried to salvage the presentation while defending my reputation. Afterward, Lavinia summoned me to her office. If you can't work effectively with Cressa, perhaps we need to reevaluate your position, she said, inspecting her nails. She's new. You're experienced. Any failures reflect worse on you. That was only the beginning. Over the next months, Cressa took credit for my successes and blamed me for her mistakes. My reports were altered before reaching leadership, client emails were intercepted and changed, my performance reviews collapsed, colleagues avoided me. 15 years of work dissolved before my eyes. The breaking point came during preparations for the Harrington merger, the biggest deal in a decade. I spent weeks analyzing markets, building projections, and crafting an integration strategy. Cressa contributed nothing but complaints. The night before the board presentation, I stayed late finishing slides. The office was nearly empty when I heard voices in the break room. Mom, I'm worried. Imogen's analysis is really detailed. What if they ask me questions? Don't worry. I've already spoken to Bennett. You'll present an alternative analysis. We'll let the board decide. But her data is solid. Data can be framed many ways. By next month, you'll be leading the department. Imogen will be gone. I backed away silently, everything snapping into place. The altered reports, the missing emails, the whispers. This wasn't incompetence, it was sabotage. That night, I decided to document everything. I recorded meetings where legal saved, every file version with timestamps, and gathered proof, not for revenge, but survival. The next day, Cressa presented her alternative analysis, nearly identical to my work from 3 months earlier, but with risks minimized and profits inflated. I'm concerned about the analysis Imogen prepared, she said, glancing at the board. It's unnecessarily pessimistic. No one defended me. After the meeting, Bennett called me in. Imogen, I'm concerned about your recent work. Cressa's analysis aligns better with our goals. It's based on outdated data, I said. Are you suggesting you know the market better than our senior manager? He asked, nodding at Cressa's new title. Senior manager. I said nothing. For 2 weeks, I gathered evidence. Emails, documents, recordings, former employees' stories. The truth was worse than I imagined. Lavinia had been systematically pushing out anyone who threatened her control. Then came the all-staff meeting. Problems I'd predicted began surfacing. Lavinia needed a scapegoat. Tomorrow won't be pleasant for you, she told me in the elevator. Apologize publicly, praise Cressa, and I might keep you in a reduced role. And if I don't, empty your desk today. She walked out confident she'd won. That night, I barely slept. My entire career hung in the balance. At dawn, I made the call that changed everything. Penelope, it's Imogen. I'm sorry to call so early, but I need your help. She was our largest investor, rarely visible, but we'd worked closely before Lavinia took over. No, I told her when she asked if everything was all right, and I need to show you why. We met at a quiet cafe. I played the recordings, showed the altered files, explained the pattern. Penelope listened in silence, taking notes. When I finished, she closed her notebook and studied me. Why come to me instead of human resources or Bennett directly? Because HR reports to Lavinia, and Bennett has been brushing off concerns about her for months. You're the only person with enough influence who might actually care about what's happening. She nodded slowly. And what do you want from me, exactly? Attend today's all-staff meeting, see what happens for yourself, then decide whether this company is being led the way you believed when you invested. Penelope glanced at her watch. I'll make a few calls. Be ready. I arrived at the office an hour before the meeting, my stomach tight with nerves. As I crossed the lobby, I noticed unfamiliar faces in suits speaking quietly with Bennett inside his office. The glass walls muted their voices, but their serious expressions said enough. My desk phone rang. "Amijigan," Bennett said curtly, "come to my office, now." My legs felt stiff as I walked across the floor. Every eye followed me, speculation rippling through the department. They all expected this to be my final day. Bennett wasn't alone when I entered. 2 board members and a woman I didn't recognize were seated with him. Penelope was nowhere to be seen. "Close the door," Bennett said. I did, forcing my breathing to stay even. "These are serious accusations," Bennett said, tapping a folder on his desk. "Lavinia has been with the company for 12 years. 11 years, 7 months, one board member corrected. And she's driven significant growth, Bennett continued. Yes, I said, by taking credit for other people's work and eliminating anyone who threatens her position. The unfamiliar woman leaned forward. I'm Dominique from Legal. We've reviewed the materials you provided to Miss Penelope. While recordings made without consent can be legally problematic, my heart sank. They were going to protect her. However, Dominique continued, the documentation of altered reports and testimony from former employees shows a pattern we can't ignore. Bennett exhaled heavily. We're in a difficult position. The Harrington merger is moving forward based on projections that, if I understand correctly, may be fundamentally flawed. They are, I confirmed, but there's still time to adjust if we act quickly. The board members exchanged looks. The all-staff meeting begins in 20 minutes. Lavinia plans to discipline you publicly. After that, we would announce Cress's promotion to department director. And now? I asked, my mouth dry.
Now we want to see how far they'll go, Bennett replied. You'll attend the meeting as planned. Let Lavinia make her accusations. Respond as you see fit. You're using me as bait, I realized. We're giving you the chance to defend yourself publicly, a board member corrected, something you've earned. As they explained the plan, I understood I was walking into a minefield. If Lavinia felt cornered, there was no telling what she might say or do. My evidence might still fall short. My career could still end today, but at least I'd go down fighting. The main hall filled quickly as employees streamed in for the mandatory meeting. I took a seat near the back, ignoring whispers and sideways glances. Cressa sat with the executive team up front, confidence radiating from her posture. Lavinia stood at the podium reviewing notes, scanning the room until her eyes found mine. She smiled. Bennett opened with routine updates, then yielded the floor. Thank you, Bennett, Lavinia said. Before department updates, there's a personnel matter to address. Her voice carried easily. Over the past several months, we've seen concerning quality issues in work from the analytics team, specifically projects overseen by Imaginon. A murmur spread through the crowd. Most recently, her flawed analysis of the Harrington opportunity nearly derailed a critical merger. Fortunately, our senior manager, Cressa, identified the problems and delivered a corrected assessment. Her gaze swept the room. Imaginon, please stand. I rose slowly, feeling every eye lock onto me. Accountability is a core value here. We all make mistakes, but refusing to acknowledge them is unacceptable. Stand up right now and apologize to my daughter for your incompetence, or clean out your desk. The silence was suffocating. I took a breath and walked forward, my footsteps unnaturally loud. Instead of the podium, I went to the computer station. I believe this will clarify the situation, I said, connecting my device. What followed unfolded exactly as I described earlier: the recordings, Lavenia's fury, Bennett's intervention. What I hadn't mentioned was what came after the final recording. "You'll never work in this industry again," Lavenia screamed, her composure shattered. "Do you know who my friends are? Who my husband plays golf with? You're finished." "That's enough," a voice cut in from the back. Every head turned as Penelope walked forward, flanked by two figures I recognized from the morning news, Regulatory Commission representatives. "This meeting was supposed to be internal," Lavenia sputtered. "I invited them," Bennett said coldly. Lavenia's face drained as the trap became clear. She grabbed Cressa's arm. "This is a misunderstanding. Those recordings are out of context. Imaginein has been underperforming for months. Ask anyone." "Actually," a quiet voice said, "that's not true." Jordan, a junior analyst, stood. "I trained her. Everything I know about data integrity came from her. 2 months ago, Lavenia told me to alter her market assessment. When I refused, I was removed from the Harrington team." One by one, others stood. Each told a story: pressure to alter data, exclusion from meetings, fabricated mistakes. Lavenia looked around wildly as her empire collapsed. "Cressa, tell them!" Cressa shrank in her chair. I just did what you told me to, Mom." The regulators stepped forward. "Miss Lavenia, we'd like to speak with you privately regarding these allegations, particularly those involving shareholder projections." Lavenia hissed to her daughter, "Say nothing without our lawyer." Then she straightened. "This is a witch hunt. The truth will come out." As they were escorted away, Bennett returned to the podium. "This meeting is adjourned. Department heads, join me in the conference room. Everyone else, take an early lunch." Employees filed out in stunned silence. Some offered quiet support. Others avoided my gaze.
I remained at the front, disconnecting my device with shaking hands. Had I won or destroyed my career alongside Lavenia's? Bennett approached. "That took courage," he said softly. "More than I've shown." "My office, 30 minutes." I nodded. As I headed for the door, someone was waiting. "Imogen, walk with me," Penelope said. We moved through empty corridors to a small courtyard. She sat and gestured for me to join her. "You know what happens now, don't you?" I shook my head. "The Harrington merger will be reevaluated, the executive team scrutinized, oversight implemented, and someone will need to manage the transition." "Bennett seems capable," I offered. Penelope looked at me steadily. Bennett knew. Not everything, but enough. He chose to look away because Lavenia's numbers looked good on paper. My stomach dropped. "So what now?" "That depends on what you do next," she said. "Our meeting with Bennett should be illuminating." As she walked away, my mind raced. Had I exposed only the surface? My phone buzzed. "Parking garage, level 3. 10 minutes. Come alone if you want the full story." A chill crept up my spine. Level 3 was nearly empty. "Over here." Ella, head of IT security, leaned against a column. "You sent the text?" She nodded. "We don't have much time." She showed me a tablet. 3 months ago, Lavenia requested a security audit, officially for protection. In reality, this. Search parameters filled the screen. My name paired with mistake, error, problem. She was building a case against you, using our systems. And this? She swiped. Emails discussing Bennett's divorce and finances. "Blackmail," I whispered. "I think so, and I'm next." The elevator dinged. "Go," Ella said. "But know this, Lavenia has contingencies." Back in Bennett's office, Penelope, Dominique, and board members waited. Bennett looked shaken. "How long have you known?" Penelope asked. "I had concerns," he admitted. "She had leverage. I looked away." "Now we have a serious problem," a board member said. "Shareholders were misled." Dominique nodded. "Possible securities violations." "And that brings us to you," Penelope said. "We want you to lead analytics immediately." Suspicion crept in. "Why me?" "Because you were right, and because we need someone clean to face regulators."